Hey, Tennis. Merry Christmas to you. Oh, hey, Flamba. You missed almost the entirety of Fury. I just finished it today. But there's one last boss. One that I haven't defeated yet, and that's the Mothership. Who is, possible, just really hard. We'll be taking shots at her every now and then. But tonight, we try something different. Something that was mentioned to me a long time ago. Something that has been on the list for a long time. Tonight, we try a game called Simply, where the water tastes like wine. I know nothing about this game other than that it is actually genuine campfire stories from what I understand. You've got a large drone, is that it? By the way, someone hanging about with family, sorry. Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. The Edge was arguably, no, not arguably, actually just straight up my favorite boss in the entire game. Anyway, so Isatsu has told me that this goes straight into the story.
Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, It's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand? He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask.
I believe, sir. You have my word.
The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
What?
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that. Your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds
Flamba,
first,
do you want to
then
add
spreading
logs?
them,
Use
telling them
exclamation
onwards
point
so they
save
can
user
begin
the first
gaining
time.
strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy.
I had to change some of the commands to make sure that it was actually recording who was putting in what number of logs. But once you do use save user, you will be entered into for a chance to win the final prize. Yep, you're good. Now don't use that again because it will reset your progress. But now you can just use add logs and votes as needed. Anyway, this is already intriguing to me. This seems, as Istatsu said, like a Newt game.
Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
Oh? Well, this is interesting. Heaven desires. Tell the story of a parting cloud of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of land promised in plenty. Tell the story of endless series of doors of different kinds, each leading only to more doors. Tell the story of the northbound train blinking its giant eye as it crawls through the night. Tell the story of tossing a pair of bone dice on a blood-red velvet table. They come up snake eyes and wink at you. Tell the story of a black and gray city where every building is filled with desiccated corpses. We'll start with the top, I guess. Travel. Now, if only the devs sold a tarot deck
That's
yet
your
like this.
job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliche in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another. You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. Your deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the Promised Land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine.
Title drop.
Well, I don't know.
I love
that
this music,
is.
by the way.
It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing.
By the way,
It's just
you
luck.
guys who don't know,
Funny how
I
bad
did add a
luck
command.
seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty.
I did add a command. It's called highest highest givers. God, that's a terrible name, but whatever. It's what I named it. This thing. Which just lists the number of people that are in the running for the top. Currently, the 3 winners would be 10 Ace Games, Love One Alt, and Malarthy, who all get to choose from this. That list. You get to choose one game from that list.
Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you.
But yeah, you can gain points with the Halloween stuff by just using either votes or by giving it to the main campfire. As you saw, Flamba, you already did give to the main campfire.
It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back. Go on your way, Seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Oh shit, he wasn't kidding. Strip away the flesh, right? Alright.
Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth.
Sure.
I'm gonna dig my heels
ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. You know these girls? They demand.
No.
Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash, sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I
So how have you been, Flamba?
dead, they're the ones who bury me.
Your goal is to fulfill your obligation to the wolf by finding all 16 characters scattered over the US and trade stories with them until you earn their trust and finish their story. Huh. Wait.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones.
By having adventures, you'll begin to collect stories. When you meet characters, they'll ask for different types of stories. Tragic, hopeful, scary, thrilling, or funny. Remember what sort of adventure you had, and you'll know what type of story you got. Stories will grow and change as you tell them. Once you tell a story to a character, it will be out in the world and you may encounter someone else who will tell you a better version of it. These better versions will be more entertaining when you tell them to characters, but be sure to tell different stories so that you have a chance to grow them all. The stories you get from characters are wild cards. They fit in any of the 5 categories. However, telling them will not cause them to grow. So use them sparingly as you're given a chance to spread other stories. If you want to swap around the stories you tell, you can do that in your inventory. There are several ways to travel across the US. The easiest is walking, but it's slow. You can speed up your walking pace by whistling. Hold down the button to match the notes to keep your spirits and speed up. See controls for more details. An electric razor, which you're happy about. Nice! Actually, very useful things, those. I should probably use mine before I go back to work tomorrow. A safer way to travel is hitchhiking. To hitchhike, hold the hitchhike button while standing next to a road with cars on it. Not every car will stop, and they won't always carry you the full distance, but you will be safe. Finally, if you've got some cash, you can get to a city and ride the fast, safe passenger trains from place to place. It costs money, but it's the best way to travel. Each time you meet a character, you'll have a night to talk with them and exchange stories. If you tell them the kind of story they want, you'll gain their trust and move forward through their tale. However, there's no penalty to telling them a different story. You will still learn whatever they have to tell you. Characters have multiple chapters, and when you fully open the eye in the interface, the next time you meet them, you'll move on to the next chapter. When you've finished all the chapters, you won't see them again. Each time you finish a night with a character, they will move somewhere else. You can always check the map to see where they are, but they will also show you when they move. The inventory holds the mementos you've collected from the characters you've met. Once a character trusts you fully, they'll give you something to remember them by, which can be used to travel to where you first met. The inventory screen also has tabs so you can see your stories, a timeline of your adventures, a map of the US, and your progress with each character. Interesting. Yeah, that's actually a really good Flumba. I'm kind of sad that you actually missed out on Fury, because I was having a good old time with it. Except for the third boss, I didn't like him so much. Yeah. Especially the latest one. The Edge is my favorite boss fight of the entire series.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle.
Hello.
The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding.
I won't tell.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere.
Wait, okay.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. Just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of spent tobacco out of a huge ceramic pipe. I got another year, I guess. Another year of this town being here, he replies, letting a grin spread across his face. If the seagulls came, that means enough fish to keep it in place.
Hmm.
The woman walks the small town square with the poise
Hold the whistle
of
button
Betty
and press the
Davis,
direction the note tells you. Oh, okay.
confident stride, and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise.
Hello, are you our first character?
You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date, and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion.
All right, let's ask around a bit.
You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere as far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes. You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench.
You may. Lovely outside, isn't it?
Her eyes are a beautiful shade of brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat.
Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris.
Oh, she's the woman with the bow. We know? What? Oh, that's a lot of stories. 234 stories. And I head to Boston. Oh wow. Weird frame rate problems here. This really is sort of my kind of game, though.
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike.
Huh.
Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost.
This game is more open world than
Bright
GTA.
light crests around one corner, a car approaching. Compelled by the cold and foreboding night, you don't question it as you drag your bones into the cab. But you realize immediately how strange the vehicle is. It's a sleek thing, like a shallow parabola gliding over the street. Where to? He asks. You have to stop and think. Eventually, you name Boston Common, the only landmark you know in this town. He peels off silently. You feel the car move before you hear the engine. He takes you through ever odder streets, flanked by painfully clean, gleaming buildings and signage for businesses you don't recognize. Even the air seems different. It doesn't smell so sharply of gasoline and coal. Eventually, you come to a stop. The fare's in glowing numbers above his dashboard. It's much too high. Surely a mistake. No charge, he insists. You look like you need a break. And then you find yourself on the curb at Boston Common, under thick moonlight, in a city much as you'd left it before.
Interesting. A tiny woman in a lush fur coat is standing outside a boutique lamp store with package nearly as tall as she is. You there, she calls. Can you lift this? Give it a try. It's huge and unwieldy, but light as anything. Carry it down to my house and we'll work something out, the woman declared. You heft the package and followed her. She begins a rambling story about her living room, her interior decorator, and her husband's taste in rugs. Fascinating, man. You follow by the sound of her voice. The lamp box is so large you can't see a thing. Eventually she exclaims, "Here we are." Thank God. Hey, Malarthy. You might actually like this. This is kind of along the same lines as Cultist Simulator, with a very heavy emphasis on story and dialogue. And just the style of a game. You know, I do kind of question how open world actually is GTA. I realize it's part of a franchise that is considered massively open world, but still. Did you miss the culmination? Nope. That you are still in time for that if you want to continue. I believe right now it's you. Let's see. These three. Yeah, so it is you, 10 Ace Games, and Level 1 All that are on top. But at the end of this stream, I will see who's on top, and we will work out which game you guys get. You guys can, of course, pick anything from the prize choices. I am adding Horizon Zero Dawn and Bloodborne to the list as well. Though I'm not 100% sure exactly how gifts work out for PS4. So we may have to just try and figure out exactly how that works. You love the box down in her living room. Or you lay the box down in her living room. It's nowhere near as luxurious as she made it sound. A card table, a ratty couch, and a wall tapestry done in a grotesque imitation medieval style. This will really tie the room together, she exclaims. At least she tips you. So, wait. Hello.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor.
A funny story, you say? This is the subject of each story here. If you tell this person a story about love, for example, they will tell you something from their own life relating to the subject of love. 4 things. As the night goes on, the icon will move from left to right. When it reaches the right side, the night is over, and so is your storytelling. The person you're talking to will usually tell you where they'll be next so you can find them again. It's the Hobo Kid. You said that you've only found 3 of the 5 characters, Statsu, and you've been playing this for over a year? Jesus. If you tell them the types of stories they request, you'll gain their trust and the eye will open. When it opens fully, the next time you meet them, they'll open up more about their life. They'll remember this from conversation to conversation. So don't feel you need to open the eye all the way the first time you meet someone. Dance around, get to know them. You tell the story of a boy who ran away from his
Ain't
father.
life got enough tear-jerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez. My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw-flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. I want a
Indeed.
story that scares me. Now I'm older, almost nobody can do it. Give me your best shot.
All right. This game is kind of like Flower
That sure
Street.
was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day. Sad. Oh, so you think just 'cause I'm young, I gotta be sad, crying after my mama every night. I don't need you looking after me, so if you're offering, don't. And I thought I told you to be respectful. What you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want to keep enjoying my spot or not.
I'm sorry.
Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories. I don't get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. Not enough excitement for me. What's my future look like? I ain't looking for a traveling companion, if that's what you mean. I do fine by myself, so just stick to minding your own.
I feel like I just don't have the right stories for this kid yet.
I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
Yeah.
Whoa, quite a story, stranger.
There we go.
Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that. I'm in the mood for something real funny like.
Well, that's a problem. We've got no more stories to tell tonight.
Leaving already? Well, me too. I think I'll go check out what's happening up the road this way. Maybe I'll see you around.
Gonna be around Pennsylvania, you say?
The tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture.
Yep.
With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Oh, okay. Alright then, loved one all. If you end up coming up on the list, which I'm almost certain you will, I will just move down move down to the next person, which I think is Barrett right now.
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow. They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks. They conduct their games in eerie silence. The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor. In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?" Too tired to lie, you tell him about the noise outside your door, the trampling of small feet on the corridor outside, the dreams disturbed with violent and hideous images. "That's odd," he says, weak-eyed. "There are no children staying with us."
Oh, that's very interesting.
My heels into the ground. 'Cause when that very man come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag me down. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my toes burn low and my train
As you walk down the road, a black crow flutters down the land on your path. It looks at you, cocks its head, and speaks. "Well, you've got a long, long road ahead, don't you? All these people to chase down, or so I hear." It laughs. "I've got some experience when it comes to chasing folks." "Tell me about it." "Well, if you want, you could go to find your friend again. Ask them more about their life. They might want better stories this time, though." It peers up at you. Didn't they tell you where they were headed next?" "But hey, the world is full of people. Bet you could find another friend like that if you went looking around. There's more than one person in this land for sure." It gives a gravelly laugh. "That's what humans say anyway." And with that, it launches into the air and disappears.
when the night come down for to take me hand in hand. This will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road.
Horror story.
His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours. You got a light, friend?
Sure.
You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar. Thanks, he mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip.
It's some good music. It fits the game perfectly.
Don't rightly know where I'm going. You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper. Don't rightly know how I got going either. They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. Damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet. He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale.
To dig my hole.
The waitress at this diner is sharing an outlandish tale with one of her regulars. I heard it from my sister-in-law, she says. It happened to her daughter's friend. It's true. She notices you listening. Hey, have you heard this one before? Which one? She regales you with a story about the dead woman in the yellow ribbon. Halfway through, you realize it's the story of the elegant woman in the small town, but highly embellished. What do you think about that? The waitress exclaims. It's an interesting tale. Sure is, she agrees. And true, every word of it.
Stones or the waters
Oh.
of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Where are we? We're in New Jersey right now.
This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
We could either go to Pennsylvania to see the kid again. Let's earn some money. You wander the streets of the city looking for a way to make some cash. A man in a nice suit, looking very expensive, strolls up to you and sits on the curb beside you. Spare dime? He nods distractedly. You know, I've been working since I was a little fella, he begins. I worked my way up and I built my company from nothing. He hasn't even looked at you. He doesn't need a response. Now it's back to nothing again, he sighs. He looks at you for the first time. Here, he says suddenly, pulling a well-worn bill from his pocket. It was my first, and now it's my last. I don't really need it anymore. He hands you the money, and with a jaunty spring in his step, strolls towards the nearby railway underpass. Interesting.
The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered figure leans out over the rail, eyeing the skyscrapers on the horizon. Nearby, a man and a woman speak in low, urgent voices. He takes her wrist gently. She is weeping softly.
Let's listen to the couple.
I wish you didn't have to go.
She says,
There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up.
his thumb skates over her pulse point.
I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? It's not forever.
Her words are split by a sob.
Might as well be. My parents didn't come to New York for this.
She leans against him, the wind tousling her hair. He pulls her to his chest.
I'm leaving because I gotta go. If there was another way...
They stand together, close, quiet, in the stiff breeze.
The air stinks of gasoline and trash, and you're boxed in by brick. But damn, there's something invigorating about that stink. God. It feels like there's an engine in your chest. Okay, so we got health and sleep. You notice a black crow sitting on the fence post, watching you with unsettling intensity. Hey, it blurts. Hey, friend. Hey, you hear about trains? It gives you a throaty cackle. Locomotion, that's the life. I got some good tips. Ask about travel. The sky is sort of fucked up. Yeah, I'd say it's kind of fucked up. You ever ride a train? It asks. With your budget, you'll need to hop on at a train yard, though. Fast and convenient, but the railroad bulls don't really like it when you ride in the empty boxcars. If you get caught, you'll get beaten. It hops and pecks at something on the ground. On the positive side, maybe you'll meet someone to trade stories with. But if you don't like the sound of that, you could hitchhike. Find a friendly car. It laughs. I feel sorry for you landlubbers. No wings, just motors. You can't even cross rivers when you want to. Only at safe crossings. You get a point there. I always do. You notice that its beak doesn't move as it speaks. But before you can tell anything else about it, off it flies.
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence.
I'm kind of curious what this one turns into.
Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke.
Huh. Now we've got 2 stories of that type. The game may also be drunk. Like, what? I mean, as you can see, the stories mutate the longer that you have them as well. I'm actually really interested to see, because there's 234 of each of these stories. Or high as a kite, yeah. Any one of these are correct. It's break time at this half-finished bridge. The workers are gathered around a young man who sits on a bucket like a king. They listen raptly to his story about the boy whose shiftless father left him alone in the wood. Listen to the tale. You realize it's the story of the boy who ran away with his father, but heavily embellished. The young man on the bucket tells it masterfully, doing all the voices as if he's told it this way 1,000 times before. What a story. It's nothing close to what actually happened, but this version is pretty good. You'll have an easy time remembering it. It's questionable whether they are actually true.
You hear the whippoorwill first, shrill and close. Then you see him, high up above the black streaks of wires. A lineman, fraying belt holding him to the pole. The damned bird has come to perch on a power line, stare hungrily at the man's soul. He's unsteady. His hands are shaky, and his body sways in the wind. You spot his tool bag next to the pole, worn and frayed, much like the man. A half-gone bottle of cheap rye pokes out of it. What's he gonna do? Come down from the pole? You snatch it from his bag in one quick motion and walk away. Hey! He starts, but whatever he's about to say slips into a slurred whine as his belt snaps. His body plummets. His limbs go slack with the understanding of what is happening to him. He tumbles into the tall, dry grass by the side of the road with a muffled noise. All you hear is the call of the whippoorwill. Eager, loud, thankful.
There's a lot of places. This is a train yard, right? Yeah. Hello.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army, it's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never understand. Maybe it'll take my mind off my sorrow to hear about somebody else's. Tell me a sad story?
Yeah. Damn it, this is terrible to actually navigate with the controller.
I wish I could talk about what happened in the trenches the way you do. Might help someone to understand. Change. Tanks seem to be the ones bringing about change. First, in no man's land, and then on the steps of Washington, D.C. I was amazed the first time I saw one. The second time, afraid. And all the times after that, revolted. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore.
Unfortunately, you're out of luck. I don't do jokes. Oh, controller, please. Okay, I'm actually just gonna unplug the controller. Family, love, sadness. No jokes, though.
Oh, come on. That doesn't sound real. Authority? The law? Well, I had a thought once, in the trenches. You and I, all of us, have the right to the pursuit of happiness. Can't say I've held the Declaration myself, but does it say anything about having a right to achieve happiness?
No,
Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones?
that I might have.
For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. The future's the issue, ain't it? The Great War leaves us nothing to go back to, plucking up the hope and leaving us only with the vile and the unforgiven. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. Sorry, I don't get it.
Yeah, kind of didn't have any more happy stories.
Imprisonment? The more days I check off, the more I'm convinced that birth is an imprisonment. I must eat, so I must have money. I must have money, so I must work. It's an inevitable prison. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones?
Oh damn, this guy loves his happy stories.
And that's what you think when you think of tragedy. Huh. Love? It was a real long time ago. I pulled a ribbon on her hair, her pigtails came undone, and she tattletaled on me. Never really tried after that. Here's the song. I've got to go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross?
Sure.
Days come and go, and the terrors return. They'll never be able to pay back what they owe me, but I'll always keep at it. What about you? Is there something somebody owes you?
Not yet. Alright. So that's the second character. Or at least one more character. There's a camp over here. Mason.
First, Ma and Pa wanted me and Paul on the front lines. They wanted someone to be proud of, and I did as they asked. Then the government wanted me to take an IOU, and I did. When there were no more jobs, I, along with thousands of others like me, went and asked Hoover to pay up. General MacArthur was so scared of us, he brought in goddamn tanks to keep us from tearing apart D.C.
Oh.
Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. don't really scare at that stuff anymore. Sorry. Sadness? It didn't come immediately. When Paul died...
At this point, I'm just telling stories to get them to spread around.
Missing. You don't get a connection like that. You can't go back and get another twin. The emptiness didn't last. It filled itself with sadness not long after. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? And that's what you think when you think of tragedy. My family won't look at me anymore. They only see Paul.
The wrong kid died.
I cannot put them through that every day just for my sake. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. That can't be true. That sounds like a Navy tale. Future? When I was young, I worried about the future. But now, running all on autopilot and fumes, I've got no control over it. So worry has become me. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind.
I think he's already seen everything that I have to tell him at this point. No, one more.
I got nightmares enough without hearing that kind of horror. Traps. I felt like I was trapped, but it's fading. It's a slow process, but the memories, they leave sometimes. They leave. I don't remember every compatriot. I don't remember Pa's
Also, we've got
voice
7
anymore.
people. I'm going to start up the giveaways.
Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones?
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Where are you headed? Back to the road? Hope your travels are easy enough, huh? Now, I should be leaving soon, too. The road takes me this way next. Where's it taking you? I wish there was a road I could take home. Home as I knew it. To my sister Jessie and all of them before the war. But there ain't. It's something I think the road is helping me to understand.
Alright, let me see what we've got for giveaways. Since we do have a ton of people right now. Hide redeemed keys. Let's see. Let's do Kingdom Newlands. So, anyone with logs can enter. You enter by just typing !raffle and then the number of raffle tickets you want. Okay, let's hop a train. To Pittsburgh. See who else we can talk to. I need more stories. The waitress at this diner is sharing an outlandish tale with one of her regulars. Says the storytelling salamander. A true storyteller is never has enough stories. This is exactly why I love this game, actually, just already. And I've only been playing it for an hour. It's all about stories. This is the essence of what I want to stream. She regales you with a story about the man who had to travel 600 miles to find a single job. Halfway through, you realize that it's the story of the couple parted by unemployment, but highly embellished. There's our hobo kid friend over there.
Clouds roll together to fill the sky. The lightning is so strong that it seems to open a path in the haze above you. You are sure you see massive talons curved around the clouds. The thunder is so immense that the ground trembles. Your lips and hands tingle from the electric charge that fills the air until the dancing lightning passes on over the hills.
Hey, kiddo. Quinn.
Hey, traveler. Come to join my fire again?
Yep.
Well, I guess I know you well enough to let you set yourself down for a spell. You remember Cass and Flip?
Yep.
You want to hear more
Cass
about
is
my
the big 'un.
travels? Well, sure. Why not? Nothing better than trading stories around the fire, and I got stories. Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor.
Let's see what we got.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that?
Ah.
Jeez.
Still don't know. I still haven't found any stories that would exactly be considered funny.
Love stories. Huh. Folks sure seem to be eat up with the notions of love.
That one's
Seem
a
to be
real
talking about
side
it all
ripper.
the damn time. I'm not sure I see the appeal myself. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
Oh, this is mostly what we've been gathering.
Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. Traps and such like. Well, one time in Fort Worth, a feller tried to take Cass and Flip away. Said a kid couldn't look out for him proper like. That they were fat in Fort Worth and they were going to the pound so that he could find him a good home. Well, before I could much argue, Flip bit the hell out of that busybody and Cass and I joined in shortly. I don't think I ever seen a fella so surprised.
You've only been to what, 3 states? Yeah.
Guess I ain't going back to Fort Worth no more. I'm in the mood for something real funny like.
Well, we got nothing funny. Oh my god, we got the story of Mason's loss. That's not funny. You know what? Let's get this one started. Start
Not
spreading it
sure I
around.
quite follow that one. This land sure is something, ain't it? I can't wait to see it all. Tramping like I do makes me realize the land's another kind of companion. It's always with you. Maybe things are so depressed because folks lost sight of that. You got any happy stories?
Yes, we do. Okay.
Not sure I quite follow that one. What's my future look like? I ain't looking for a traveling companion, if that's what you mean. I do fine by myself, so just stick to minding your own. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
Yeah?
Were you trying to scare me? Well, you didn't go far enough. Huh. sad. Oh, so you think just 'cause I'm young, I gotta be sad, crying after my mama every night. I don't need you looking after me, so if you're offering, don't. And what you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want to keep enjoying my spot or not. Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
So we just have the
The trunk
entirety
life
of
suits me
America
just
to wander
fine.
through?
Every day is a venture.
Am I reading that right?
With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Well, now Quinn's Chapter 2 is available.
The Twisters touch down in a cornfield, fence posts flying in its wake. A
Never tried
huge
going to
black
Canada or Mexico.
stallion charges toward the tornado. On its back, a cowboy whips his lasso through the churning air, nearly matching the Twister's speed. His wild laughter carries on the wind.
God damn it, Bill!
Another man hollers, clapping his hands to his hat to keep it from flying off.
Quit being a damn fool!
The man on the horse turns toward him and flashes a beatific grin before digging his heels harder into the horse's flanks. You follow the man in his hat into a root cellar.
Bill's damn good with horses, but he's only happy when he's trying to tame something bigger than himself. What does he think he's gonna do? Ride it?
When the storm clears, Bill and his horse have vanished.
I don't know who this is. Is this someone new? Franklin. Nothing.
Why, hello there.
Smiles.
Look like that's a heavy bag you're carrying. Let me get that for you. I insist. You see this uniform? It means you can trust me to make sure this is the most comfortable journey you've ever had in your life.
Are you a train conductor?
Who am I? Well, I'm no George, I'll tell you that. But that's not important. This trip is about you, friend. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them? Didn't I hear that story on the radio? You told it better, though. Home is where we go back to. It's where we belong. But there's nothing wrong with spending a little time in the rest of the world every now and again. Know any good tragic tales? I feel in the mood for one of those right now.
I've got one of those.
Damn, friend. That one
Oh, we are
hit me
just
hard.
killing it.
If you're looking for family, you know why a porter can treat a passenger better than anyone else? Because when you step on this train, you're family. It doesn't matter who you were before or who you're going to be after you step off. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those.
Yeah, we've got.
A positive attitude. That's what I like to hear. The future? We're making it. There's never been anyone like us Pullman Porters. It's why we have so much pride. We're setting standards for future folks, and we know just how damn high those standards are. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me?
Unfortunately, we're out.
Just like I told you, friend, miles of smiles. Travel, we've all got places to be, and we've all got to get there somehow. So why not get the getting there to be as good as it can get? See, that's really important when getting there is all you got.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me?
We'll save
Another
them.
night over. I surely did enjoy all those stories, though. Maybe next time I'll let down my hair a bit. What do you say? You must excuse me, friend. What kind of porter am I saying this trip is all about you, only to start talking about my own damn self? But enough of my indulgences. I hope I see you again.
Oh, that's gonna be good. He's right ahead of us. Whoop. Sorry.
The barn and silo.
Also, hang on a couple seconds, guys. Let's move on to the next one, since no one seems to be springing for this. Subterrane. We will go with subterrane. As far as I
Seen
understand,
better
it's a
days.
roguelike.
One big storm might bring the whole structure down. A man hollers.
Ken? Ken? I know you're here, boy.
He sees you and lopes across the field toward you. You seen a boy around? About 14? He sighs. My boy is missing. I haven't seen him since last night. He swallows. He ain't the type to run off, neither. Can you spare a minute to help look? I'm worried sick. Interior of the barn is dim, even with the great doors thrown open. You check the animal stalls, but find nothing. As you look up to the loft, you spot a gap in the roof. A bit of cloth hangs down,
Oh no.
perhaps a shirt. You climb the ladder and make your way across the roof. A trail of empty beer bottles leads you past a discarded shirt and to the base of the silo. You climb up. There's a hole in the silo roof, a rupture where rotten wood gave way under something large. You maneuver your way along the edge, keeping your weight off the rotted panels. You poke your head inside. He's there, half submerged in the grain.
Oh,
He's
poor
been
kid.
dead for half a day at least. The man's waiting at the bottom of the barn ladder.
Anything?
There's a spark of hope in his eyes. His face falls. I'm gonna make another pass through the fields. I'm sure he'll turn up. He shakes his head. Thanks for your help, stranger.
If I was one of the characters in this story, I would be one of the ones that like the sad stories too. Wouldn't his dad have looked there already? I don't know. Apparently he didn't. The farmer's loitering beside a couple crates of berries, idly watching the clouds go by. Waiting for a pickup, he says, trying to make small talk. Hey, you want to hear a wild story? Absolutely. He starts telling you about the fisherman and his fish calling seagulls. Takes a couple of minutes, but suddenly you realize it's a story about the seagulls and the fisherman. Whoever told it to the farmer changed Well, a whole lot. But it's still pretty good. Don't you hear that story? Oh, I can't remember, he says. I think I've known it for years, since I was a boy for sure. That can't be right. Bullshit! His laughter rings down the dusty road. You're a good joker, I'll give you that. Interesting. Ah, there's the campfire.
It's a funny thing, someone looking right through you. But don't lie to me, friend. I know you want to know the truth, what it really means to be a porter.
Yeah?
Well, I can tell you it's more than making white folks happy. That's just how it's supposed to look. But you go on so long being how you're supposed to, you're not quite sure how to go back to what you are. Though I suppose I can give it a try. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me?
We're finally starting to fill out all of these. I sort of want to play this game for a stream now, but I'm worried I'd never have to do it justice. Never have time to do it justice. I've been really enjoying this so far. I'm curious if there's really that much of a difference between who you tell the stories. Eventually you will tell the stories either way. I'm actually not sure how you would get the stories that are just different each time. The ones that you can change by focusing on a different part of them.
Who finds that one funny? Yeah, I think about bondage a lot. Is a handful of coins really all it takes to separate a buck from a working man? They say old George Pullman only employs black boys to make his trains feel even fancier for white folks. When Mr. Randolph got us all thinking about a union, I remember someone shouting, "Fight or be slaves." Tell me something that'll make me laugh. I could use a chuckle. Whew. Another night over. Not sure I understood all your stories, but I hope you understood mine.
I did.
I've got to be going. The next leg of my trip takes me along the rails this way. Where are you headed? If we cross paths again, I'd like to tell you more of the truth about what it's like to be a porter and what it's like to be in the Brotherhood. Keep an eye out for me, all right?
So I'm starting to get the idea of this. Yes, you have stories that you can tell and you may want to get them out, but it's not always a good idea to tell stories until they're fully embellished. Okay, what's this one? With the bones of his father. It takes a couple of minutes, but suddenly you realize that it is the story of the boy whose shiftless father left him alone in the woods. Huh. That one's fully alive now. Another waitress. She regales you with a story about the whippoorwill watching for death. Halfway through, you realize it's the story of the drunkard lineman. but highly embellished. Cincinnati. Let's earn some money, shall we? You wait for the light to change outside a corner store. When the cashier sticks his head out the window and shouts, "Hey, got some time? Want a little cash?" Sure. He needs help moving cases of compressed fizz pop into the back room. We go through like 3 of these a week now. People in this time are absolute fiends for soda. There's 3 soda jerks in the neighborhood alone, and we're still making a killing. I can't stand this stuff, though, he admits. And I'm not sure it's right. What do you mean? You ever read the ingredients? He asks. Curled my hair, no lie. And with that cryptic warning, he tosses you some coin and gets back to selling soda. What corner store has a window for the cashier? I don't know. Alright, let's do some exploration.
The corridors of Cincinnati's music hall reverberate with the sounds of an orchestra warming up for rehearsal.
If we unbolt the light rig, we can crush them,
says a voice up ahead. No, another answers. Hiding Baldy's baton will be sufficient to stop the din. The tuxedoed men are slightly transparent. Mustachio on the right has his arms folded. The
Ghosts.
weaselly one on the left scowls. They start at your arrival.
I'm gonna undo those bolts.
Weasel feature vanishes into thin air.
Damn it all,
Says the other man.
we used to be members of the orchestra until, well, you know. Patrick doesn't care for the new blood. It seems like talent died with us, so he does his damnedest to stop them playing. But I can't allow violence against fellow artists. Help me stop him.
How do I stop a ghost?
With the right tool, you can banish them from the hall. You see, no spirit can stand the sound of the purest of all instruments.
The piano?
No,
The violin?
no,
The sousaphone?
no,
The flugelhorn?
He shakes his head, exasperated.
no. The triangle. The orchestra has one, but their percussionist's a sop. He never hits it right. If you can get there, you can ensure the only thing brutalized here today is Chopin.
The orchestra is midway through practice. They're in dire need of it. The percussionist dozes on his stool. Everyone's oblivious to the muttering from the lighting rig. You sprint down the aisle and elbow through the incensed musicians. The percussionist falls off his stool as you clamber over his xylophone. You grab the beater and bring it down onto the triangle, eliciting a pure, resounding note. And
Yes?
the rafters ring with laughter. The mustachioed ghost appears next to you, doubled over, invisible to the furious orchestra.
I never thought you'd fall for that. The triangle, for God's sake. Thanks for shutting them up, though.
Well, I guess now we actually have a good, funny story for once. I don't know why the frame rate on this game is so bad sometimes. It's really quite noticeable. Trying. I mean, I kept offering alternatives and none of those were good. So. Huh. This game seems to have problems. It's trying to render America. You need a better computer to render America. I also don't know which button is hitchhike. Started somewhere. Yeah, but I don't know what the actual button is to start hitchhiking. That's what I'm saying, stats here. I was using it earlier because I had a controller, but then I decided the controller wasn't great. Then I started running into problems with the mouse. What's this over here?
Here. Can you find her? His voice is soft, cooing. He's lowered himself down so that his head is level with the two blonde-topped boys next to him. Can you find Grandma? They're pulling ears of corn off stalks with uncommon gentleness. There she is. He points to a specific cob. It's enormous, but otherwise unexceptional. We gave her back to the corn, and now the corn has given her back to us. One of the boys, awed, reaches out with a reverent hand to touch the cob. This one's not for eating, the man continues. No, this one we keep. Come on, boys. We better get home before dinner time. Harvest starts tomorrow. He turns to lead his children back towards where you're standing. He seems beatifically distracted as he gingerly carries the pristine ear of corn in one hand, never noticing you. His children tail after him. One of them, his blonde mop of hair mirroring the bright yellow maize, seems to glance at you, but not really understand what he sees. And there it is, subtle but perceptible. A patch of red spots on his face, fuzzy and fungal, like the omnipresent rust that you've seen on leaves here and there in every cornfield. Except this one, of course.
Huh. Have you guys been noticing that the stories have been getting longer?
The rain is coming down so hard, it's a wonder the sidewalk hasn't started to crack. You manage to find a narrow patch under a ledge where you can stay dry. A squat man, bundled up in a black fur coat and matching hat, approaches. The thick rain flattens and mats his fur. He squints up at you.
You're in my spot.
He crows. He thanks you as you step aside, back into the rain. You keep walking, hoping to find more shelter. Now that you see the man from a distance, you're not sure the fur is a coat. A pair of red eyes shine back at you. The rain stops a minute later. You look back up the road, but the squat man is gone.
Red creature in the fur coat. Shouts echo from a nearby alley. You discover a crowd of men unloading sacks from a truck as fast as they can. When the truck empties, it roars away, and another surges up to take its place. The sacks are lumpen, heavy, and stained with dark smears. Ask if they need help. Yes, blurts a laborer. Do we ever? An older fellow, however, throws out his arm to shut the man up. We don't need help with the stuff, he says, stepping close to obscure your view of the goods. Mind fetching water instead? He waggles a few coins in your direction. Sure. You feel your pail at the nearby gas station. When you return, though, the men are waiting in the alley, innocent as anything. They wash a sticky residue off their hands in the water, and their boss passes you a couple coins. There's no sign of the goods anywhere. I should probably try using the train. God damn it, America, you gotta render faster. Very chill game. Yeah, that's the word for it, also. Whistle is control. Hitchhike is Q. Okay. I think we've got at least one story for everything now. No, we're missing it for whatever this is. The star. And justice. We're missing it for the star, justice, and the fool.
Surrounded by fields of corn and rye, a small farm lies fallow. Its tiny stable crumbles into disrepair, and foxtails sprout from its fields.
Whoop.
Inside, the sunlight filtering in through two small windows turns to hazy gray shafts in the thick dust that blankets the interior. There's not much in the way of furniture, but on a rustic kitchen table, a handwritten note catches your eye. Never opened. It's addressed to Martha and unsigned. Her name is written in the stiff letters of a man for whom literacy is more a formality than habit. If you find this, I'm already gone. Don't come looking for me. Rest is scratchy spirals and circles of halfway readable writing about the noises from the cellar and the hunger in the darkness.
You know,
The
I'm gonna
cellar
let...
door at the edge of the abandoned kitchen calls to your attention.
What do you guys think? Should we walk away or go down into the cellar? Well, you guys are figuring that out. Let's set up the next game. Oh, well, it's a Magica 2. Check the cellar. Okay. That's kind of what I hoped you'd all say.
The door is unlatched. The ground below is deeply stained with some dark residue you can't identify. Upon it, only ancient piles of chains and manacles, slowly turning to rust.
That's all spooks. I want to see all of this. Holy sh... There's one over here. problem I have with this game using a mouse and keyboard is that it doesn't properly capture the mouse, which means that I could do this by accident. Whoops.
They're the ones who bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my
She's getting married, the soldier tells you. The two of you observe the church from the dusty road, straining to hear the faint joy of the ceremony transpiring within. I fought for 10 years to come home because she said she'd be here, waiting for me. And look, can you believe it? So what am I supposed to do? What does she expect? That I should throw myself from the nearest cliff? Walk into the ocean? He snorts, sets off down the road. He seems surprised to see you a few steps behind. No, he says. Where I'm going, you can't come. It's only then that you notice. There's something very wrong with his eyes.
Poor guy. Can't imagine how that must feel. Hang on a second. I'm gonna up the mouse sensitivity. I can't. Wonder how normal it is to talk to skeletons. Oh, you know. Don't you talk to skeletons every day? Nope. There's a campfire over there. Might be someone new. Nah, it's just Franklin. I got nothing new for Franklin, unfortunately.
Well, I'm gonna have my spade up upon my wheel.
There's a story over here I haven't seen
I'm
though.
gonna keep lost blood stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no one else to dig my hole.
Did I? I can't interact with Cleveland. Well, okay then. But yeah, as I was saying, I ended up ordering some pizza recently. There was a skeleton that delivered it. Just kind of opened the door to him, asked him how life was like not having skin. He said it's probably a lot better than not having a liver. And that he wanted me to actually answer him on that particular part at some point. And I told him, well, livers are for humans, and I am clearly a newt. This man can barely get through the pleasantries before asking if you've heard asking if you've heard this story. 110% true, he says. I heard it from my nephew, and it happened to be someone and it happened to someone he knows well. He looks very posh. The man launches into his telling. It's polished. He's obviously done this many times before. He tells you the story of the ghost and the well-heeled hobo. You recognize the bones of it from your experience with the last bottle of Armagnac. It's been embellished in the interim, though. A good one. I could do it to campfire. A tiny motormouth is eagerly sharing the details of a strange tale with his brother as they loiter outside the store. The boy listens raptly, eyes growing larger, mouth hanging open like a fish. She's telling about the storm generated by the gigantic bird. You try to hide your surprise. It's the story of the massive thunderstorm. The version the girl must have heard is embellished, to say the least, but hey, it's a good story. Hey, Franklin.
Welcome back. It's been a while. I miss talking with you, friend. Do you want to hear more about what the porter's life is really like? The truth, not the happy mask?
Yeah?
I can tell you about what it's like and about Mr. Randolph and the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. It'll ruin the illusion, but I think that's for the best. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any?
I think I've told you most of my stories.
That's a tall one. Don't pull my leg, okay? When they want to liven spirits up, to bring each other joy, all railroad folk tell the story of the steel-driving man, John Henry. But only us porters talk about Big Old Daddy Joe, the best porter who ever lived. I've always been more partial to that tale.
Well, what's the story?
Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. So, does that one scare you? Not sure about me. I've heard some porters say that even up in heaven, we're gonna be the ones making the beds, shining the shoes, and cleaning the coins. I believe it. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them?
Another scary one.
Not sure my brothers will find that one particularly scary. Fortune. A porter lives or dies on the good fortune of passengers. One day a nice man could give you a generous tip. The next day he could steal a towel. And guess who's paying for the replacement? Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got?
Nope.
Whew. Another night over. Not sure I understood all your stories, but I hope you understood mine. I've got to be going. The next leg of my trip takes me along the rails this way. Where are you headed? If we cross paths again, I'd like to tell you more of the truth about what it's like to be a porter and what it's like to be in the Brotherhood. Keep an eye out for me, all right?
The Brotherhood. Hang on a moment, guys. Just want to remind everyone that this is the night when I end up picking out the 3 winners based on how many people have been donating to the main campfire or using them in votes. Using logs in votes, that is. All right. Let's see. Who wants a copy of Life is Strange: The Complete Season? If you don't already own it, of course. Anyone can enter as long as they have logs. You have logs if you've been watching for more than 10 minutes. You camp the campfire. And I have middling opinions of Life is Strange. Namely that its ending fell short. Yeah, it's kind of the unfortunate thing about trying to do a giveaway for a lot of the games in my list. Because they came off of Humble Bundle, a lot of them people have seen already. The last 5 minutes were awful, but the first 6 hours and 55 minutes were great. And the ending of a story is largely what gives you your final impression of it. And unfortunately, that ending left a very poor taste in my mouth. A long black car growls up in front of this hotel. Out steps a woman in an extravagant hat and coat, followed by a whole crowd of hangers-on. Is she a singer? An actress? You don't recognize her face, but to your surprise, you recognize the story she's telling. You just want the soundtrack. Well, can't help you there. I don't think. Unless... No, I've just got the game. Also, Owlboy is coming up. So if anyone wants that, that's coming up. Also, Bioshock Infinite. The rest of the Bioshocks are on the prize choice. So if you actually intend to be one of the winners for the prize choice, that is an opportunity to own all of the Bioshock series. In a sharp transatlantic accent, she's telling anyone in her party a story about the hotel haunted by the ghosts of twin toddlers. It's clearly the story of the silent twins, but changed in a few entertaining ways. I want to find more stories. Oh, M is next. Also, there needs to be an arrow on the screen to figure out exactly where you're looking. Not too useful if there isn't. Ah. You know what? We'll hop a ride in a cab for a bit. Ah, damn it! This is what I was telling you about. Da, 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 da. We've already heard this. I wish I had slightly different dialogue for some of these. Like what the new story sounds like. That's what I'm trying for, is that's it. Shadow points north. Oh, okay. I wish I had mentioned this. Now I know where I want to go. It's down this way. Stream video keeps telling on the image of the goat. The hell? To be fair, we've got some frame rate issues on my end. So it might be that. Oh god. Like, if I spin my map around, then bad things happen. Render faster. I genuinely don't. Damn. Okay. There are no stories out this way. But there might be some stories out this way. I just want to keep spreading stories to see their final form. Come on, cars, I know you're good for it. Who would stop for a skeleton? I think it's kind of questionable if you actually are a skeleton or not. I need some rest. Go ahead and grab a cola and then earn that money back. Let's panhandle. You sit on the pavement until your butt hurts, but nobody gives you so much as a penny. Screw this town. It's time to get going.
It's nearly Christmas. Many are drinking liberally. A man staggers up from a downstairs bar and falls over the top step. Help me! You can barely hear his voice over the traffic. For God's sake, help!
Sure.
People tut at
Oh, this
the
is one that I
man's
don't
drunken
have.
state. A woman tosses a coin at him without even looking. The drunk clasps at his gut and looks straight at you. Help me. Please. He lifts his hand from his stomach. His palm is red with blood.
Oh, shit.
You press a cloth on the wound, and he hisses with agony. Another man strides up the stairs, laughing. He looks at the bleeding man, sweeps his Stetson off in a theatrical bow, then turns to you. You best mind your own. The Stetson-wearing man applauds your departure. He addresses the injured man. There, Billy. Someone who knows how to pay me respect. Role model for you, huh?
Yeah. A gunshot man left to die on the streets of... Yep. Yep. Hello, rail car. Let's hop a train to San Antonio. No one telling stories? As you hop off the boxcar, you suddenly feel the heavy hand of a railroad bull on your shoulder. Now, where'd you come from? He asks in a way that indicates he doesn't care. You don't mess with the Rio Grande's cars. The beating that ensues is efficient and brutal. That's unfortunate. We've already heard this one. He starts telling you about the red creature with black fur in Detroit that demanded respect from travelers. Oh boy. Okay, we need some health. Thank you. You join a crew of laborers waiting at the street corner. Soon a truck pulls up and everyone jumps in the back. The job's good, one woman assures you. You ride a short way before the truck pulls behind a factory. Everyone hops out and starts putting on heavy coats. The whole factory is a vast, cold meat locker. You're shivering in only a few minutes. Dragging the carcasses around is hard work, but it only keeps you so warm. Soon your hands are totally numb. You grit your teeth and keep working. By nightfall, you're shaking almost uncontrollably. You're paid a full day's wages, but it's hardly worth it. I don't know. We seem fine.
Little remains of the Alamo. Just a chapel and some barracks. The inside of the chapel seems off. Like a space that is both ruin and restored relic. Unsure if it should crumble or sparkle. The rumbling of cars outside is undeterred by the shaky adobe walls. You come across a well, a squat square made of stone, hidden beneath a large, crooked oak tree. And on it sits a dejected man, eyes downcast, face
We just seem to get
broad
tragedies,
brimmed
don't we?
hat,
No jokes.
and clothes so thickly coated with dust that you can't make out their style or color. He looks up at you, and you get a better look at his face. Sun-beaten, several days unshaven, and body. Though he smells strongly of black powder, a single sharp hole punctures his torso. From there, blood oozes down, and smoke wafts up. No. It's too late for me. He bats your hand away. His is clammy and cold, even in the hot, dry air. It's a long time before he musters the strength to say anything more. I marched out here following some rich man from New Orleans.
For what?
He makes a hollow noise like he's trying to laugh, but has forgotten how. for this. A heavily worn boot scratches a line in the dusty ground. For land. For the dirt of this place. I was promised. But instead of speaking, he just slumps forward, bent like a reed.
Let's take a train to Memphis.
Peabody Hotel. The
Game's
words
loading
adorn
stuff.
the exterior wall, each letter the size of a window.
Game's
Lobby
trying
has
real hard.
upholstered furniture and gold chandeliers. But such luxury is a mere accessory to the centerpiece. A travertine marble fountain in which 5 ducks swim. A handsome bunch of feathered fellows, all having a nice time in the water. A bellman in a blue cotton uniform, black cane cupped in his hands, takes notice of your interest in the waterfowl. Would you happen to be here to witness the duck march? A wide smile crosses the bellman's face. Oh, a newcomer. Well, this is a little ceremony I introduced. Every day I march these babies into the elevator all the way to the roof, and I march them back down to this fountain.
I just realized I know the voice actor. The main narrator's voice actor, I should say. Or at least I know who it is. Be awesome if I actually knew him in real life, because he has a fantastic voice. Unfortunately, I don't know his name. I just recognize the voice. Perfect voice for campfire stories.
The bellman gestures toward the closest duck. You notice now, the ducks have had their flight feathers trimmed, though their beauty remains intact. Now, don't look so concerned. I spoil them rotten. The feathers will grow back.
What?
The bellman taps his
That
cane
one wasn't
on
voiced for some
marble.
reason.
Right away, the ducks hulk up a frenzy and hop out of the fountain. They beat the water out of their wings and waddle toward the elevator, guided by the bellman's cane. Magnificent. What sweet, gentle creatures.
Doesn't know jack shit about ducks then. Look for work. A tiny woman in a lush fur coat is standing outside a boutique lamp store with a package. Oh. Yay. Let's just get Ruben. Take a look around, shall we?
A sign in town says a farmer is hiring for the sugarcane harvest. A bag-eyed man drives you and 10 hungry strangers out into the cane, where he leaves you. Everyone gets a hatchet, but no instruction. The foreman is missing